There are 4 lines from a Mary Oliver poem that give me goosebumps every time I hear them. In the poem Wild Geese, she says, "You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves." And this really resonates with me, and I've been wondering why. Why does that line, "You do not have to be good," feel so hard for me? And why do those extra lines feel like such a relief? And I've been thinking about it, and I think it's not because they give me permission to be careless or to be bad, but because they really release something much, much older and heavier. And when I unpicked what I was going to say for this Quick Dip episode, it's not really about my favourite poem by Mary Oliver. It's about what being good has come to mean for me, has come to mean for doctors and other senior healthcare professionals and people in high stress, high stakes jobs. And what is the cost of that belief? Because doctors, senior healthcare professionals, they care deeply about doing good in the world. And that's probably why you came into this profession. You wanted to help, you wanted to make a difference, and you wanted to matter in a way that really reduced suffering. And yes, there's all the other stuff about the interest and the science and doing something exciting. But somewhere along the way, all that stuff, especially the doing good, it got tangled up with being good. In fact, I was chatting the other day to a friend whose sister is a GP, and she said that she realised quite recently that her sister genuinely believes that she is good because she is a doctor. And this is all tied up as part of her identity. And I think for us, being good has come to mean something very specific. It's not reacting, not judging, not misspeaking or speaking out of turn, not swearing, not letting off steam, not being selfish or self-indulgent, and not needing too much. Being good looks like being very measured, contained, and incredibly selfless. And once that becomes standard and normalised inside us, then your normal human reactions don't just feel inconvenient, they feel like wrongdoing. They feel like evidence that you are bad and you are not who you should be. And so maybe it's not so much that we want to be good, but we're actually trying to avoid the shame of feeling that we are not good. And I think there's an important distinction here that we often miss. It's this: being good is not the same as being safe or being wise. Now, wise looks like noticing a risk, asking for help, acting within your limits, correcting your course early, admitting when you're wrong, repairing relationships, giving honest feedback, acting within what you know to be true. Being good often looks like absorbing all that extra pressure without complaining, staying really pleasant and not let anything show, and certainly not being weak. And these two distinctions, the distinctions between wise and good, they get blurred very, very easily in medicine. And when they do, denying yourself and your very human needs starts to look like professionalism. And I think part of the reason why those lines from that Mary Oliver poem land so hard for me is that it feels really personal. From a very young age, I was taught that being cross was wrong, watching certain things on the TV was wrong, having certain normal human urges was wrong. And at the same time, I learned that you were judged by your output, by how well you did, how much you helped people, how successful you were, how much you achieved, and how nice you could be. The problem was I was a child with ADHD, didn't know that at the time. And so I was often told I was just tactless, that I upset people, which was awful, that I was naughty, not nice. And the problem is, because being loving and kind are two of my deepest values, I didn't hear all that feedback as feedback about my behaviour. I heard it all as a verdict on who I was, that I was not good. I was not a nice person. And so I tried to work my way out of that by being good in other ways, so getting really good grades, achieving a lot, and making sure that I always was doing the right thing. And also, part of the problem was I challenged beliefs and ways of doing things rather than blindly accepting them. That was a bit dangerous because that then was framed as a problem with me. I was told I was upsetting people, that I wasn't being loving or kind. And if you've grown up in a controlling cultural or religious system, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And please believe me when I say there was nothing wrong with you. Your intuition was spot on. But the only way to control you and to maintain the status quo was to turn it into a problem with you. So again, the tables were turned. The verdict was the same for me. I wasn't good. And that belief has followed me into medicine, has followed me all my life, because once you're a doctor or you have a very responsible job, the standards feel even higher. You're not just meant to behave well, but you're meant to be better than everybody else and gooder than everybody else. And later, when I found myself leading the professionalism curriculum for medical students at Cambridge University, that pressure intensified. My job was literally to teach future doctors how to be good. And at the same time, I was bringing up 3 children, pretty much as a default parent, holding down multiple roles as a GP, as a medical educator, amongst other stuff. And my nervous system did what nervous systems do under sustained pressure. It reacted. It got overwhelmed. It got cross. And it got resentful. And every time that happened, I didn't think, I'm exhausted. I thought, I've been bad. And even when I left general practice and the job that I really hated, I was flooded with guilt and shame, because a good person would keep seeing patients, would keep working in a role that just didn't suit them. A good person would cope. A good person would be selfless, and a good person wouldn't leave. And after eventually being diagnosed with ADHD a couple of years ago and subsequently having some therapy, something's really shifted for me. I look back at that little girl and I think, you poor thing. You were desperately trying to be good in a system that just wanted to control you. Your reactions weren't sinful. They weren't evidence that you were bad. They were human responses to be highly controlled in an environment that didn't tolerate difference or challenge and that relied on no one speaking up. And I realised that I'd spent my life trying to prove to the world that I was good, even if I was a bit impulsive and irrational at times. But I was living in constant fear of saying or doing the wrong thing. And what I'm slowly learning now is this, that I am human. I have wisdom, I have integrity. And yes, some things occasionally come out wrong, or quite often come out wrong. And sometimes I can say things impulsively or insensitively. Sometimes I talk too much and I overwhelm people. That behaviour doesn't work. It doesn't mean I'm bad. It doesn't mean that I am unkind. It just means I'm human. And here's something I have really come to see, is that good and bad are not very useful categories for human beings. They're just moral labels that we slap onto behaviour, and then we turn them into judgments about identity, about who you are, who I am. It's like calling a cat a good cat or a bad cat. A cat isn't good or bad. It's just a cat. It behaves just like a cat behaves. So if I was cooking some fish for our tea and I left a bowl of fish on the side and the cat ate the fish, I might say, you bad cat. But if I put that bowl of fish down and left it next to its food bowl and wanted them to eat it, and it doesn't eat it, I'll go, well, what's wrong with that cat? Right? The judgment changes, but the cat doesn't. It's still being a cat. But with ourselves, we do this constantly. We turn the fact that we are humans and have finite capacity, we turn that into a character flaw. We turn having limits into moral failure, and we turn our normal human reactions into something that needs correcting. And here's where I want to state a very inconvenient truth and widen the lens a bit, because this belief that doctors must be good, it doesn't just live inside us. It lives in society, doesn't it? It lives in the system, and it's very, very useful to the system. Because in the short term, everybody benefits from doctors who overfunction, who stay late, who fill the gaps in the rota, who absorb the risk so that everyone else can breathe a sigh of relief. And so a failing system just can keep going with under-resourcing, understaffing, and unlimited demand, and patients never understanding that the healthcare system cannot meet all of the things that they think they need from it. And a political system that is unwilling to admit that. So patients benefit from doctors who overfunction, organisations benefit, and even our colleagues benefit. And it's just like children who benefit from parents who just do everything for them, who absorb all the stress for them. But we know how that ends. In the long term, it creates dependence, resentment, and actual harm. And yet doctors somehow keep waiting for permission from other people and from the system to stop, for somebody else to say, it's okay now, you can rest. You're never going to get that permission because the system is totally relying on you not stopping. So that permission is not going to come from anybody else. It needs to come from yourself. And even worse, this belief that we are morally defective if we can't just keep going and going and going. And the belief that doctors must be good. The doctors have to keep going, otherwise it's a moral failing. This belief just gets weaponised. So if doctors step back or go off sick with burnout or just say no to something, it's not just like practically a little bit difficult, but they meet moral judgment. People saying to them or whispering, yeah, you're not coping or you're just not resilient enough. That's resilience, victim blaming. You're not a team player. You're being selfish or greedy. And when that judgment comes from colleagues, which it can do, even if it's just inferred through a tone or a look or just silence, it can be really, really devastating because it confirms what we're already thinking already, our deepest fear that maybe I really am not good. And that's why burnout can often hurt us in the way it does. It's not just exhaustion. It's a separate kind of moral injury. So the things that we've been doing to be what the system calls a good doctor and what we believe to be a good doctor have actually harmed us, pushed us into burnout. And then on top of that, we think that because our bodies have reacted in a normal human physiologically way to the stress and the overwhelm and the burnout, that we are deficient. We're weak or selfish and not good enough. So let me be very clear about what I am and what I am not saying. I'm not saying that anything goes. I'm not saying that it is okay to lie, to cheat, to steal, to deceive people, to bully people. Absolutely not. But that's not what I'm talking about here. But I'm also not saying that unfiltered emotional reactions are safe. They're not, especially in an unforgiving system. Being emotionally dysregulated at work doesn't work very well for you or for anybody else. And it often dysregulates others. And then you get this vicious spiral, don't you? And it creates risk. But that doesn't make it bad or wrong. It makes it information. Your human reactions are information and they are pretty automatic, so you can't help it. That's the shift I want to offer from good to bad, to behaviour that works and behaviour that doesn't work. Because actually saying yes to everything, that doesn't work a lot of the time. And saying no isn't automatically selfish. Sometimes saying yes is the least good thing you could do. Certainly the least wise thing you can do, and certainly often not in your own integrity. And sometimes staying in a role that's not aligned with you, that doesn't suit you, where you can't give your best. It's self-punishment dressed up as professionalism and responsibility. So here's a different definition of integrity I'd like to offer you. Integrity is not about being good. Integrity is about knowing your limits, telling the truth about your actual capacity, not pretending you can do more than you can do, acting in a way that you can stand behind, that means you can back yourself. For me, integrity means saying what you mean and meaning what you say, and repairing stuff when you accidentally muck up or something you've said lands badly. And it's about not using moral judgment to beat yourself up for being a human being with normal human needs, urges and reactions. Most doctors I know have thoughts they would never put in the notes or never say in a meeting, let alone admit out loud to somebody else. Now, that doesn't make you dangerous, it just makes you human. And what matters most is what you do with those thoughts. So when Mary Oliver says in that poem, you do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting, what I hear from that is this: you don't have to overwork or sacrifice your own health and happiness to make up for the fact that you feel that you are not good enough. You don't need to overwork as a punishment. You don't have to destroy yourself to prove that you care deeply about things. And you don't have to suffer at work to earn your worth as a human being. And side note, if you are suffering at work, you are not going to be giving your best, are you? It's only when we're really happy and we're thriving in our work that we are giving our best, that we are actually then really able to do good in the world. And you do not need to be perfect to do good. And if we need a new definition of good, let me offer this one. Good is being wise. It's acting with integrity, true to what you really believe. It's backing your wise self. And acknowledging your humanity and your reactive amygdala reaction, and then working with it, not against it. And that is not selfish. That is how you stay in this work that you have to do without losing yourself. That's why these lines still give me goosebumps. They don't let us off the hook. They let us off the lie that being a good doctor is being good. And maybe this is where You Are Not a Frog really comes in, because a frog relies on reflexes and instinct, and it reacts because it has to. It can't step back and question its froggy programming. But you're not a frog. You are a human being. You can notice the beliefs that you absorbed and the programming that was set from a very early age about goodness, sacrifice, and worth. And you can decide, are these still true? Are they still serving you? So if this episode has resonated, you might want to share it with someone else who's been living under that same pressure to be good. And over the next week, when that familiar inner judgment starts to show up, just see what happens. And see what happens if you remind yourself, I'm not here to prove I'm good. I'm here to act with wisdom and integrity as a human. And that's what matters. Not how good you are, but how honestly and humanly you meet what's in front of you. And you will find you know what to do. You are not a frog, and as Mary Oliver says, you do not need to be good. You just need to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves, to be human.